Imagine a world suddenly gripped by a mysterious, deadly disease, leaving communities paralyzed and societies in chaos. Welcome to the terrifying reality of the 14th century, the era of the Black Death. The Black Death, a plague of such magnitude that it would come to reshape the world as we know it, first made its grim appearance in the mid-14th century. This was a time of knights and castles, of kings and queens, a time before the scientific revolution when the mysteries of the world were often attributed to divine will or supernatural forces. The origins of this catastrophic plague remain shrouded in historical uncertainty, but many scholars believe it sprang from the remote steppes of Central Asia. Perhaps it was born in the burrows of black-tailed prairie dogs, or perhaps it originated from a different source altogether. Its true origins, however, remain elusive, a chilling mystery that continues to captivate the minds of historians and scientists alike. From its potential birthplace in Asia, the Black Death moved with relentless force along the bustling trade routes of the time. Picture the vibrant markets of the Silk Road, teeming with traders from all corners of the known world. Now imagine these same routes acting as highways for the plague, the disease hitching a ride on fleas that infested the black rats stowing away on merchant ships. As these ships docked in bustling ports across Europe, they unwittingly unleashed the deadly cargo they carried. The plague spilled out into cities and towns, spreading like wildfire, crossing borders and even oceans with a speed and ferocity that was unprecedented. As the Black Death began its merciless march across continents, society was left in a state of shock and terror. The people of the 14th century had no comprehension of what was happening, of why their friends and neighbors were falling ill and dying with such terrifying speed. As the plague swept across continents, no one could predict the scale of the devastation that was to come. The Black Death was not just a disease, it was a harbinger of change, a force that would come to reshape societies and alter the course of human history. Before we plunge further into the eerie depths of the Black Death, we wish to pause and express our profound thanks to each one of you. Your unwavering support and engagement have brought us to a monumental milestone. We've just hit our first 100 subscribers. Each view, each share, each comment contributes to our growing community, and for that, we are truly grateful. If you're here for the first time, and you're enjoying this deep dive into history, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and join us on this journey into the past. Your participation doesn't have to end here. We invite you to become an active part of our community. Share your thoughts in the comments section, let us know how you feel about our content, and give us your suggestions for future topics. Your feedback is invaluable to us and helps us create content that caters to your interests. Your support means the world to us, and we're excited to continue providing you with engaging, enlightening content. Now, without further ado, let's dive back into the fascinating yet terrifying world of the Black Death. From the bustling markets of the Silk Road to the crowded ports of Europe, the Black Death moved unseen, carried by black rats and the fleas that infested them. But this was an enemy like no other, an enemy that struck from the shadows, leaving death and devastation in its wake. Picture the crowded streets of a medieval city, the air filled with the chatter of traders, the laughter of children playing, the clop of horse hooves on cobblestone streets. Now, imagine the sudden silence that fell upon these same streets as the Black Death took hold. The bustling markets emptied, the laughter ceased, and the streets were deserted as fear gripped the hearts of the people. The Black Death was a silent killer, an unseen enemy that struck with terrifying speed and lethal force. As the disease spread, communities were thrown into chaos. The sick were shunned, their homes marked with a painted sign of death, while the healthy lived in fear of the unseen enemy that lurked in the shadows. Imagine living in a world where every cough, every sneeze, every touch could be a potential death sentence. This was the reality of the Black Death, a reality that would come to shape the world as we know it. And as we delve deeper into this dark chapter of our past, we begin to understand the profound impact of this unseen enemy on our world today. The Black Death was not merely a disease, it was a gruesome death sentence. Its symptoms were as terrifying as they were swift. This medieval plague did not discriminate, descending upon the rich and poor alike, leaving behind a trail of devastation. Imagine the onset of a sudden fever, a chill running down your spine, the pangs of pain piercing through your body. These were the initial harbingers of the Black Death. But it was the emergence of grotesque swellings, or buboes. that truly marked the arrival of this deadly contagion. These buboes, often the size of an apple, appeared in the groin, armpit, or neck, turning from red to dark purple or even black as the disease progressed. The progression was swift and merciless. From the onset of the first symptoms, the relentless fever, the chilling aches, the terrifying buboes, death could come in as little as 3 days. The disease was not just a physical torment, it was a psychological nightmare. The sheer speed of the disease's progression, from apparent health to agonizing death, left communities living in a constant state of fear and uncertainty. But the Black Death was more than a health crisis. It was a demographic catastrophe of unparalleled magnitude. It swept through towns and cities, leaving empty homes and deserted streets in its wake. Bodies piled up faster than they could be buried, and the stench of death hung heavy in the air. The numbers are as staggering today as they were horrifying then. In less than 5 years, the Black Death claimed the lives of an estimated 25 million people in Europe alone. That's nearly 1/3 of the continent's population. Entire communities were wiped out, cities depopulated, families torn apart. Communities were decimated, cities turned into ghost towns, and the world as people knew it was changing irrevocably. The Black Death was not just a disease, it was a grim reality, a harbinger of death, a shaper of history. And as we delve deeper into this dark chapter of our past, we begin to understand its enduring impact on our world today. As the death toll mounted, societies scrambled to respond, employing a mix of medical practices and quarantine measures. In a world where the Black Death was as mysterious as it was deadly, the medical practices of the 14th century swung between the primitive and the surprisingly sophisticated. Bloodletting, a procedure where a patient's blood was drained in an attempt to balance the body's humors, was a common approach. However, it often weakened the patient further, making them more susceptible to the ravages of the plague. Herbal remedies were another popular choice. Medieval apothecaries were stocked with a variety of plants like sage, rosemary, and garlic, believed to have curative properties. Some physicians even prescribed theriac, a concoction made from over 60 ingredients, including viper flesh and opium. While these remedies were largely ineffective against the Black Death, they served as a testament to humanity's relentless pursuit of a cure. As the plague continued to spread like wildfire, societies turned to another strategy: quarantine. The concept of isolating the sick to prevent the spread of disease was not new, but the scale of its implementation during the Black Death was unprecedented. In Venice, a city-state known for its bustling ports, ships arriving from plague-infested areas were isolated for 40 days, a practice that gave us the term quarantine, derived from the Italian 40 giorni, meaning 40 days. While quarantine measures did show some success in slowing the spread of the disease, they were often too little, too late. The plague had a knack for slipping past even the most stringent of quarantines, leaving communities in its wake devastated and fearful. So, in a world of limited medical knowledge and resources, societies did what they could to fight the Black Death. From bloodletting to quarantines, they tried it all. But the plague was an enemy like no other, invisible and relentless. Despite their best efforts, the plague raged on, leaving societies on the brink of collapse. The story of the Black Death is a testament to human resilience in the face of overwhelming adversity, a tale of desperation, survival, and ultimately transformation. In the wake of the Black Death, societies were forever transformed. The plague had not merely killed millions, it had reshaped the course of history. Labor shortages were a stark reality in the post-plague world, as entire communities had been decimated. This sudden scarcity of workers had a ripple effect, leading to significant shifts in economic and social structures. In an era defined by feudalism, where the majority of the population were serfs, bound to the land and their lords, the Black Death inadvertently sparked a labor revolution. The dwindling workforce meant that those who survived were now in a position to demand higher wages and better working conditions. This newfound bargaining power of the labor class challenged the existing feudal order, leading to its eventual breakdown. The aftermath of the plague also brought about a seismic shift in the realm of medicine. The Black Death, in all its devastating might, highlighted the limitations of the then prevailing medical knowledge. It forced physicians and scholars to question and challenge traditional beliefs, paving the way for what we now recognize as the beginnings of modern medicine. The plague also left an indelible mark on the cultural fabric of societies. The grim reality of death and suffering found expression in art and literature, giving us chilling insights into the psyche of the medieval world. From the haunting images of the Danse Macabre to the poignant tales in Boccaccio's Decameron, the legacy of the Black Death continues to resonate in the cultural consciousness. But perhaps the most enduring legacy of the Black Death is the resilience it fostered in societies. Faced with unprecedented calamity, communities found ways to rebuild, adapt, and even thrive. The plague, in its cruel irony, became a catalyst for social change and medical progress. The Black Death was a cataclysmic event that changed the world in profound ways, its echoes still resonating through the centuries. From shaping economic systems to influencing medical practices, the Black Death continues to serve as a stark reminder of the intertwined nature of health, society, and historical events. As we look back at the Black Death, we see a time of fear, death, and transformation, but also a testament to human resilience. The Black Death was a dark chapter in human history, a time when humanity was brought to its knees by an invisible enemy. But as we delve deeper, we also find stories of resilience and adaptation that resonate with our own experiences today. In the face of this devastating plague, societies were forced to innovate and adapt. We saw the first rudimentary forms of quarantine as communities tried to isolate themselves from the disease. We saw shifts in the medical field, with physicians challenging traditional beliefs and practices, marking the early steps towards modern medicine. These societal responses to the Black Death were not so different from the measures we see today in the face of modern pandemics. Quarantine and social distancing have become household terms, and medical science continues to evolve at a rapid pace, with researchers across the globe working tirelessly to combat these invisible enemies. Drawing parallels between the Black Death and contemporary pandemics, we are reminded of the resilience and adaptability of humanity. We've faced these challenges before and emerged stronger, more knowledgeable, and better equipped to face similar trials in the future. In the wake of the Black Death, we saw societal structures shift and transform. The labor shortages that followed led to the breakdown of the feudal system, paving the way for new economic and social structures. Similarly today, we see our societies undergoing significant changes as we grapple with the impact of modern pandemics on our economies, our social norms, and our way of life. The Black Death was a catalyst for change, ushering in a new era of medical understanding and societal transformation. And while the circumstances were grim, the enduring legacy of this period is a testament to our capacity to learn, adapt, and evolve in the face of adversity. As we remember the Black Death, we are reminded of our capacity to endure, adapt, and overcome even the most formidable challenges.